So one of the first things that I want to talk about when we talk about taking more of a raw data type table like this and turning it into something that looks more like this is differentiating between our headings or categories and our individual data points. So what you'll notice on this list is that in this first row, we have country, confirmed, cases per million, recovered, deaths. Now these are all data points for COVID-19, for coronavirus. And you'll notice that they're listed according to country. Now, this row right here, these cells, these are what you could call your headings or your categories. And what we want to do, if you look at this one, is that there's a differentiation between how these look and these data points look. So in order to differentiate between different information, to show that it's maybe more important or it needs to be highlighted, or primarily the difference between something that creates a category versus something that's an individual data point within that category, is we're going to use these formatting tools that are right here. Now these formatting tools would allow us to, just like in Google Docs, they allow us to change the font, to change the size of the font, to make it bold, italics, change the color, and also change the background of the cell. So in this example, what we're going to do is, in order to show a difference between the categories we have up here and our individual data sets, is I'm going to change the font of these first. All right. So right here, you can have your font. You just have a drop-down menu, and I'm going to say, I'll just pick one. I'm going to use this caveat one. Okay. And I want to make this bold since it's my category heading. So I'm going to click bold here. So this is pretty much identical to how you would do this same thing in Google Docs. And I'm sure you guys have done this in things before. So I can also change my font size. Let's say I'm going to change this to 14. So now I have bold, a font difference, and a size difference that shows that these are my important categories and these are the data points that come underneath that. Now, if I wanted to, I could go further and say, I'm going to change the background on this, the background color on this, right? Now, the background color is going to be this fill color icon right here, and we'll make it similar to the one on the other page, right? So I'm going to change that to a darker blue color, right? All right. So now I've clearly defined, to make this easier to interact with, I've clearly defined that these are my headings or categories and that these are my individual data points. I could also change the font to these if I wanted to. Now, one thing I should go back and say, it seems pretty straightforward, but I'll just mention it, is that in order to select a cell, you're simply going to click on it. If you want to select more than one cell, you're going to click and hold and then drag. So if I wanted to select, let's say, this cell and the one below it, I would click and hold, drag until I selected both, and then I just let go of the mouse button, and now I've selected both of those. So now, for example, I have them selected. Let's say I wanted to fill them in, I could fill them in red, and now they're filled in red. Anytime you want to undo something, just like in Google Docs, you can just hit this undo arrow over here, and voila, you fixed it. All right. So those are just the basics on how we differentiate between our categories or headings and our individual data points. And again, the reason why this is important is because aesthetically and visually, it helps us interact with the information and organize it in a way that makes it easier to understand what we're looking at and how things equate to each other on the page.